Fairfax County Police commanders got some training today from an unusual source. It came from the author of a book written to help African-American men survive encounters with police. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey spoke to this local author and attorney about his important message.
I got surrounded by officers with several officers with their hands drawn on their weapons.
That's author, attorney, and entrepreneur Eric Broyles talking about a 2009 incident when he got pulled over on New York Avenue. What he didn't know at the time, he and his car fit the description of someone who just shot a man. Even though he was on edge, he did then what his book advises now.
I turned on my interior light first. I put both of my hands on the steering wheel. So that the officers could see my hands and see that I'm not a threat to them. And when the officer approached me, I just communicated, and I over-communicated.
It was 6 years later that Broyles and his childhood friend, a retired officer, co-authored Encounters with Police, A Black Man's Guide to Survival. He's taken his message to thousands of young men across the country since, but today, the audience was the Fairfax County Police Department command staff.
You overgeneralize, you say all cops are bad.
Broyles' message, both police and citizens need to keep an open mind and avoid judging the other based on their last bad encounter or the latest headlines about a use of force incident in another part of the country.
The officers are the professionals, and that they have a higher burden than the citizen to keep the standard.
And this is what Broyles drills into young black men and others at his lectures.
The theme of our book is to comply now, contest later. It means at the time of the encounter, you just comply, right, with what the officer is asking you.
Then, if there is any type of mistreatment, follow up with a formal complaint. Ahead at 6, the chief tells us how learning about this book and hearing from its author helps meet his goal of increasing community engagement. In Fairfax County, I'm Julie Carey, News 4.
Next at 6, how a local attorney is trying to help ease tensions for officers in the community they serve.
I got surrounded by officers with several officers with their hands drawn on their weapons.
In Fairfax County, police are getting a lesson from a civilian. He's an African-American lawyer who's written a book about interacting with police. Bureau Chief Julie Carey reports his message is valuable for both police and the citizens they encounter each day.
You might call it Eric Broyles' golden rule for what African-American men in particular should do when they encounter police.
The theme of our book is to comply now, contest later. It means at the time of the encounter, you just comply, right, with what the officer is asking you.
It's a key point in this book, Encounters with Police, A Black Man's Guide to Survival. It was co-authored by attorney and entrepreneur Broyles and his childhood best friend, a police officer. But his audience today, the Fairfax County Police command staff.
And that's part of unconscious bias.
It was August 2013 when a Fairfax County officer shot and killed an unarmed civilian. The incident led to a top-to-bottom examination. New transparency policies put into place, along with extensive retraining. This give and take, a key part of engaging with a variety of community members trying to understand other viewpoints.
We need to create a higher level of engagement and understanding so we can continue to make Fairfax County the safest in the nation.
Broyles had his own bad experience with police once in the District of Columbia when his car matched that of a murder suspect and he found himself surrounded by officers, hands on guns. Even though he was on edge, he did then what his book advises now.
I turned on my interior light first. I put both of my hands on the steering wheel. So that the officers could see my hands and see that I'm not a threat to them. And when the officer approached me, I just communicated, and I over-communicated.
Broyles says that means letting the officer know every move you're going to make.
When I was asked for my driver's license, I said, "Officer, my license is in my back right pocket. Do you mind if I reach for it?"
Then Broyles says if there is any type of mistreatment, follow up with a formal complaint. But Chief Rossler says sessions like this should help to ensure his department's officers meet a high standard working in a very diverse community. In Fairfax, I'm Julie Carey, News 4.